an airplane coming through the hole, and it was sort of like it just sort of came, and then it disappeared again. So you sort of like got a glimpse of something that was, and then it disappeared again, and I thought that was kind of fascinating.
And it kind of taught you how to look at sculpture? There was a way of...
To a degree, yes, absolutely, it did. It sort of made me appreciate them, and it made me really, yeah, I felt like I learned a lot from it. I can appreciate, I can look at them now and think, you know, that they get so, and well, especially with hers, I felt like that there was some kind of, you know, you can sort of like look at them and they can sort of like draw you in, and it becomes like a kind of a fairy tale. I mean, that sounds very poetic, but I don't know, but maybe that's my Hans Christian Andersen reference point of some sort. But I did sort of like that. I sort of felt like it had that, and still have.
Yeah, and there's lots of mythologies surrounding anywhere, whether it's to do with her personality or her children, or so there is this kind of fantasy world that's surrounding her already, and maybe that is something that you pick up on.
Yes. I mean...
You've visited the garden, you've been to St. Anne's.
Yes, yeah, and you sort of certainly learned and was allowed to live within her world for a short period of time. I mean, and that is
exactly what you do when you go there, don't you?
Exactly, exactly. And you know, talking to you today, you learn more things about her, which is great.
Whether they're true or not.
Yeah, exactly. Which I kind of like.
Exactly. Yeah. But one of your muses has been Cindy Sherman.
Right.
So that's another artist. Who uses her image.
Yes.
In a very particular way. And uses her image in her work. How did you...
With her, it was very specific. We really liked the. I say we. It's not because I think I'm royal, but because it's a team. But we really very much liked her murder mystery pictures that she did. And what we did was we set up this day, which was my grand's birthday, 28th of October, and we had this. We rented this room and we had rails and rails of clothing, and we had all these different people, stylists, coming to do this style challenge, as I called it, for the day. And they had an hour each, and they had to take the pictures, and then they had a model that would be there for 8 hours, and they had to dress her. Okay. And that was how the collections took form. And then we shot the whole collection after it was finished in the same room. And for the actual show, it was a mixture of a slideshow and real models. So it was sort of like trying to mix in her murder mystery imageries of the PJ world. I mean, sometimes it's you know, it is fashion. Let's not forget. So you sometimes have to translate that into some kind of useful product almost. You know, it's not art in that same way.
So does that mean that your research can be quite like touch in a way? There's no reason to go in depth in terms of researching Hepworth, that you can kind of rely on those cliches and those assumptions because it has to translate in that way.
Yeah, exactly. So for instance, you can see from the slideshow, I mean, there's a lot of imageries from the research. What I do is I do research, and then I put it all together in a book, and sort of I have all like loads and loads of books from all the collections that we've done, and so I do, obviously I research into other areas to sort of support the fact of the muse that we're using.
Okay.
I think with the muses, it's always it's a very good, for us, it's a very good tool to sort of pass it on to the team that you're working with. You're sort of saying, well, this is what it is. It's not, you know, this or that. You know, other designers I know are much better off saying, well, this is, you know, the 80s, or this is the 70s, or something like this. I'm not very good at that in that way.
So do you want to talk through some of the elements of the clothes and how they were sort of...
Well, this is the final lookbook of how the collection ended up looking like, and it was I don't know if it's easy enough to see, but there are hidden holes, for instance, in that skirt. Over here, there's like a hidden cutout at the bottom, and now it's gone. So it was a lot to do with the holes and trying to combine the colours of the collection to give it some kind of depth and to try and use different textures of materials. But there you can see, I mean, that came from a research picture that went into that code, where it was sort of like, I felt like looking at that, it had very much the same lines of an Hepworth sculpture.
And there's really beautiful prints and hats as well.
Yes.
Yeah. It's a collaboration you do.
Yeah. The hats we always do with the company Burnstock Spears, who has been going for 30 years. So they always do the hats for us, and it's the same thing when you you give them a brief and that's and then they come up with some ideas and you discuss it. But it was important for this one here because I felt like looking at her. I mean, she looked through her sculptures in a lot of the pictures. So the important part of that was that the model's head was sort of covered and they just had a hole that they peeked through.
Did you realise they look so much like one of their works? There's a piece called Seafoam Hawkmoor. They look almost identical to that piece, so it's kind of incredible.
Right, yeah. No, I didn't, to be honest, but I'm happy. I'm happy that it ended up like that. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So, when you originally showed this collection in Paris.
Well, this collection. We actually didn't do a catwalk show for this specific season and this specific collection, and we did discuss it for a long period of time of what to do in that way, because a catwalk show is a perfectly good form to show a fashion collection. Within the 8 minutes that it lasts, and that's sort of like the 8 minutes of a dream or whatever. But I just didn't feel like that this collection was suitable for that. So we ended up just doing a photo shoot and a little kind of a film with me blabbing on about things, and then so that was why. It wasn't because that we didn't want it, but it was sort of like I didn't feel like it fit in. Yeah.
So you're showing the clothes here today.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
So when we approached you, how did you feel about that when we asked you to show these works amongst actual Hepworth sculptures?
Well, first I was really delighted, of course, and I felt like that. I felt that it gave the collection a longer life. Mm-hmm. It was sort of like that it hadn't ended. It sort of trotted on to a bit of a longer life. And then I sort of started to think of if it was really possible. If it was sort of. Well, I don't know, because it's kind of, the thing about this, art is something completely different. And I don't know about the boundaries and all this.
There must be a relationship there.
Well, there is, yeah.
When we're working with 3 artists upstairs, Alice Channer and Jessica Jackson and Linda Sterling, who borrow from the fashion world, in particular in terms of their artwork. Yeah. And so there's this exchange going on, and to have you here, there's already that.
There is something there, yeah.
And maybe the kind of lightness of touch that you can apply to those collections is something that the art world can. Yeah. They're very serious.
Take on board.
I'd like you to talk a little bit about the muse that you're currently working with as well.
Right, yes.
A Yorkshire-born
Viv Nicholson.
Viv Nicholson.
Yes.
I didn't know that Peter was his next muse was Viv Nicholson, and then we found out, and Viv was born in Castleford, so it's kind of odd that Peter is picking up on this. Is Wakefield like your hometown? Is there any kind of relationship?
Well, I think there must have been. maybe I was born here. We were talking about it just before in previous life, and I'd been some kind of I don't know, prostitute. So up and down the docks down here, but you know, I didn't know. But it was with her. It was that cover of the Smith album from Heaven Knows I'm Miserable Now, or the 12-inch, and that was given to me by my friend in the 80s, and I was really fascinated about her, and I thought that she looked really glamorous, and I, you know, and I might be on my own, I have no idea, but I felt like that she had some kind of story, to her, that I've always really been fascinated about. And I suppose it's coming back to the whole thing about me being fascinated and really having some kind of love for England and my sort of feeling that I've always had the ambition that I wanted to live in England from a very early age, I think. And I've, you know, as I said before, in Denmark, when you leave A-levels, you have kind of some kind of gap years where you have to fill in time, and one of the things I did was that me and my friend went to Maidenhead, and I worked as a dishwasher and my friend was a chambermaid, but it was really great, we had such a good time. But I mean, it's sort of an odd place, and I don't know why really we ended up there, but we did. But again, I think that these English women sort of bring some kind of I don't know, maybe it's to do with structure.
Okay. So, in terms of this collection, do you have a particular person in mind who would be wearing these, or is there somebody in particular who buys your collection?
What, with the Viv collection, or any collection?
Of course. Does it differ between each collection?
Well, I think that we have a wide sort of audience, I think, of women that wears the things. I think that one of the ones that I can say that we dressed and that we've dressed recently for the Grammy Awards in America is Lena Dunham, which, you know, and I think that she really suits the what we do. I think she has the character of what a PJ woman is.
Okay.
But I think there's all sorts of women that wears it.
So.
I don't.
Because the muses range.
Right, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I don't think that we sort of sit down and go, well, this has to be Samantha Cameron, and that can only be her. I'm not. You know, I kind of like the idea that.
Well, I think we should offer this out to the audience and take some questions at this stage. I've got to come up with a microphone for recording. Sure.
Everybody could hear my voice anyway.
Peter, given your obviously intense engagement with your different muses, I mean, do you have the time, energy, or even inclination to look at what other clothes designers are doing, if only to remind yourself of what you don't want to do?
I think that it's very important that you keep yourself up to date, and I think that it's very important that you know what's going on in the world. Of course, yeah, and I am interested in other people's work, absolutely, but I don't. I don't never sort of sit down and think that I have to do something. I don't know. I think that I unfortunately, maybe, I don't know, that I try to live myself within the story of these characters, and maybe that is can sometimes end up being more complicated than a straightforward way of thinking in that way. But I am incredibly interested in the world of fashion. Yes, I absolutely am, and also because from the point of view that I do teach as well, and I teach on the MA at St Martin's and have done for the last 10 years. So I think it's very important that I know what I'm talking about in a way to the poor students sometimes. Yeah.
Hello, Peter.
Hello.
Were you aware that the Hepworths recently acquired 2 silk scarves by the famous Asher Company, one designed by Barbara Hepworth and one by her husband at that time, Ben Nicholson.
No, I wasn't.
Oh, you must ask them to show. So there's a coincidence. She was into fashion.
Yes. Well, she did use a lot of headscarf. I've seen in the
Ben
pictures.
Nicholson liked a headscarf.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, exactly. There you go.
She wore a lot of jewellery as well, Hepworth.
Right.
Something else that you... I noticed that you circle kind of details, so it might be just the way she's turned
Yes.
her t-shirt.
Exactly, right, exactly. Yeah, I felt like that a lot of the pictures, she looked very much like she was at work. And she sort of, you know, pulled up her, pulled up her sleeves and things.
And the artist's smock.
And the artist smock, of course. I love artist smocks. I think that you can, I mean, any shape can be look great in an artist smock. You can be stick thin or you can be, you know,
Yeah.
big ass. Without, I think that's...
And so was that an assumption that she wore those, or...
Yes.
Yeah, she kind of wore that shirt, didn't
Yeah.
she? And it was...
Yeah.
And then she put quite a masculine twist on it.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I think that she looks great.
Any more questions? Okay. Well, thank you all for coming. And we're going to play a film that Peter made. And it's about 3 minutes long, but it will be on loop in this space. So you can pop in whenever and watch that film, and it'll give you a further insight into this collection. And then in 10 minutes' time, please head up into the gallery spaces. Thank you all for coming.